The acceptance letter from MIT's computer science program lay crumpled on our kitchen table, my father's coffee mug leaving brown rings on my future. Worthless, he shouted, his face turning that dangerous shade of red-eyed groan to fear. 4 years studying computers when you could be following your brother into medical school? Are you trying to embarrass this family? My mother stood by the sink, wringing her dish towel like she wished it was my dreams. Elena, please. Think about our reputation. What will people say when they hear our daughter chose coding over medicine? I clutched my laptop, the one I'd bought with money earned from building websites for local businesses, like a shield. Computer science isn't just coding, Mom. It's artificial intelligence, data science, the future. The future. My father's laugh was cruel. The future is your brother Michael saving lives as a surgeon. The future is respect, prestige, something you can be proud of. Not sitting in a basement playing with computers. Michael, the golden child, watched from the doorway with that mix of pity and superiority he'd perfected over our childhood. That's right, Lena. It's not too late to apply to pre-med. I could put in a word at my school. I don't want to be a doctor, I said quietly but with steel in my voice. I want to build things, create things, change the world through technology. Change the world. My father threw his hands up. You sound like every other deluded teenager. You know what changes the world? Medicine, surgery, real science, not whatever this is. He grabbed the MIT letter, waving it like evidence in a trial. Full scholarship? Of course it's full scholarship. They're desperate for women in tech. It's not because you're special, Elena. It's because they need to fill quotas. That hurt. I'd spent years teaching myself programming, building increasingly complex systems, winning national competitions. But in this house, nothing mattered except the path they'd chosen. I'm going, I stated, surprising myself with my firmness. I've already accepted. The silence that followed was deafening. Then my father stood up slowly, his voice dropping to that quiet tone that was worse than yelling. If you choose this worthless degree over medicine, don't expect any support from us. Not a penny. Robert, my mother gasped, but she didn't disagree. Fine. I squared my shoulders, thinking of the savings account they didn't know about, filled with earnings from my freelance work. I don't need your money. You'll fail, Michael added helpfully. Tech startups fail all the time. Medicine is forever. I looked at them. My father with his rigid beliefs, my mother with her social climbing anxiety, my brother with his smug certainty, and made a decision that would change everything. Watch me succeed. That night, I packed everything I owned into my beaten-up Honda Civic. It wasn't much: clothes, my laptop, and most importantly, the external hard drive containing the prototype of what would become my future. My mother caught me at the door. Elena, please. We just want what's best for you. No, I corrected her gently. You want what's best for your image. She flinched but didn't deny it. 4 years later, I graduated from MIT with highest honors. My family didn't attend the ceremony. They were at Michael's white coat ceremony instead, posting proud photos on Facebook and Instagram. That was fine. I was too busy launching my first company. The idea had come to me during sophomore year. An AI-driven medical diagnostic system that could analyze symptoms and medical imaging faster and more accurately than human doctors. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was revolutionizing medicine, just not the way my family had wanted. My prototype caught the attention of major investors. By graduation, I had $5 million in seed funding. By the end of my first year out of college, MedAI was valued at $50 million. Michael, meanwhile, was still doing his residency, regularly calling our parents for help with his student loans. I kept tabs on my family through social media and occasional updates from my Aunt Sarah, the only one who'd supported my choice. I watched as they bragged about Michael's every achievement, from his first appendectomy to his chief resident position. Your brother saved another life today, my mother's Facebook posts would glow. Nobody mentioned that my AI system was saving thousands of lives daily in hospitals across the country. 5 years after graduation, MedAI was revolutionizing healthcare. Hospitals using our system saw a 40% reduction in diagnostic errors. Treatment success rates increased dramatically. We were saving more lives than an army of surgeons. That's when the acquisition offers started coming in. Google, Apple, Microsoft, they all wanted MedAI. But I had bigger plans. Instead of selling, I took the company public. The IPO made headlines. MIT grads AI company valued at $4 billion. My face was on CNBC, Forbes, Bloomberg. The tech world couldn't stop talking about the 26-year-old woman revolutionizing medical diagnostics. My parents didn't call. Michael did though. Not to congratulate me, but to complain that the hospital where he worked was forcing doctors to use MedAI's system. It's replacing doctors' judgment with computers, he protested. This isn't real medicine. I let him rant, thinking about the thousands of lives our system had saved, including cases where it had caught conditions human doctors had missed. 10 years after that kitchen table confrontation, MedAI was the global leader in medical AI. We'd expanded beyond diagnostics into treatment planning, drug development, and medical research. The company was worth over $20 billion. That's when MIT called. We'd like to discuss a significant donation, the Dean of Engineering said. And perhaps naming rights to our new AI and medical technology building. I thought about that crumpled acceptance letter. About my father's coffee stains on my dreams. About every dismissive comment and missed graduation. I'm listening, I said. The negotiations were quick. A $50 million donation, the largest in the department's history. In return, the new building would be named the Elena Center for AI and Medical Innovation. I had one condition. I wanted to choose the date of the opening ceremony. The dean agreed immediately. After all, who argues with a $50 million donor? I picked September 15th, the same day as my brother's hospital's annual gala, where he was supposed to receive an award for surgical excellence. My parents had been planning to attend for months. Then the invitations went out. Mine came from MIT directly with a personal note from the dean. My parents' invitation came from the hospital board, mentioning that attendance was highly encouraged, given the new partnership with MedAI. They had no idea the two events were connected. No idea that their worthless degree had built an empire. No idea that their daughter was about to show them exactly what success looks like. The week before the ceremony, I stood in my penthouse office, looking out over the Boston skyline. On my desk sat the latest Forbes magazine with my face on the cover. Elena, the woman who changed medicine without ever wearing a white coat. My phone buzzed. It was my Aunt Sarah. They still don't know, she reported, barely containing her glee. Your mother's been complaining about having to miss Michael's award ceremony for some mandatory hospital event at MIT. I smiled, thinking about what was coming. Are you sure about this? Sarah asked softly. I looked at my reflection in the window, no longer the scared teenager clutching a laptop, but a woman who'd built something world-changing. Absolutely, I replied. It's time they learned what a worthless degree can do. The morning of the ceremony dawned bright and clear. I stood in my closet, considering my options before choosing a simple but elegant Alexander McQueen suit. No white coat needed. My phone buzzed with texts from the MIT coordination team. Everything was in place. The new building gleamed in the September sun, its modern glass facade covered by a massive drape that would be dramatically removed during the ceremony. Underneath, my name waited to shock my family into silence. Your parents just arrived, Aunt Sarah texted. Your mother's complaining about missing Michael's award ceremony. Your father keeps checking his watch. I smiled, picturing their impatience. They still thought this was just another hospital board obligation. They had no idea they were about to witness their worthless daughter's crowning achievement. The ceremony area was packed when I arrived through a private entrance. University dignitaries, tech industry leaders, and hospital administrators filled the seats. In the front row, my parents sat stiffly, clearly wishing they were at Michael's celebration instead. Michael himself sat next to them, having been strongly encouraged to attend by his hospital's chief of surgery. He was fiddling with his phone, probably drafting his unused acceptance speech for the award ceremony he'd had to skip. The Dean of Engineering approached the podium. Today we celebrate not just a building but a vision. A vision that began in these very halls, when a young student dared to imagine a different future for medicine. My mother was checking her watch now. My father stared straight ahead, his face set in its usual disapproving frown. This student went on to revolutionize healthcare through artificial intelligence, the dean continued. Her company, MedAI, has saved countless lives and transformed medical diagnosis forever. I saw the moment my father's frown shifted to confusion. Michael's head snapped up from his phone. But perhaps most importantly, she proved that innovation in medicine isn't limited to those wearing white coats. That saving lives can come from unexpected directions, from those brave enough to forge new paths. My mother's face had gone pale. She gripped my father's arm. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our generous donor, MIT graduate and founder of MedAI, Elena Chin. The applause was deafening, but I heard nothing except my father's sharp intake of breath as I walked onto the stage. No, I heard Michael whisper. It can't be. I approached the podium, my heels clicking against the marble. Every eye was on me, but I only saw my family's shocked faces. 15 years ago, I began, I sat at my parents' kitchen table with an MIT acceptance letter. I was told that pursuing computer science instead of medicine was worthless. That I was choosing a worthless degree. The audience murmured. My father's face had turned that familiar shade of red. Today, MedAI's technology assists in over 10 million diagnoses per day. We've helped detect early-stage cancers that human doctors missed. We've identified rare diseases that might have gone undiagnosed for years. We've saved more lives through technology than I ever could have as a single doctor. I paused, meeting my mother's eyes. She was crying silently. This building represents more than just a donation. It represents validation for every student who's ever been told their dreams aren't good enough. Who's ever been pressured to follow a traditional path instead of blazing their own trail. Michael was staring at his hands, his chief surgeon's confidence completely deflated. The Elena Chin Center for AI and Medical Innovation will be a place where technology and medicine work together. Where we recognize that saving lives doesn't always require a stethoscope. Sometimes it requires a keyboard and the courage to defy expectations. I nodded to the crew waiting by the building. The drape fell away, revealing my name in gleaming letters against the glass and steel facade. The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. My father looked like he might pass out. After the ceremony, as people mingled at the reception, my parents approached cautiously. My mother spoke first. Elena, we didn't know. That's right. I cut her off quietly. You didn't know because you never asked. Never cared. Too busy bragging about Michael's surgeries to notice I was transforming the entire medical field. Princess, my father started using the endearment he'd abandoned 15 years ago. We were wrong. We see that now. Now. I laughed softly. Now that my name is on a building? Now that I'm worth billions? Now that the medical community considers me a pioneer? How convenient. Michael stepped forward. The MedAI system, it's actually amazing. I use it every day. It's saved so many of my patients. I know, I replied. I get the usage reports. Interesting how you never mentioned that in your rants about real medicine versus computers. Elena, please, my mother pleaded. Can't we start over? We're still family. Family. I raised an eyebrow. Family supports each other. Family attends graduations. Family celebrates achievements instead of dismissing them. We made mistakes, my father admitted. Terrible mistakes. But we're proud of you now. Now doesn't erase then, I said firmly. Your pride means nothing to me anymore. I didn't build this company for your approval. I built it despite your disapproval. The dean approached, saving me from further conversation. Elena, the governor would like to speak with you. I turned to leave, then paused. By the way, Michael, about your award ceremony today? I bought the hospital last month. The board reports to me now. Enjoy your new AI-driven surgical protocols. The color drained from his face as realization dawned. His precious award ceremony hadn't been rescheduled because of a random board meeting. His little sister now owned the entire hospital system. The aftermath was exactly what I expected. My parents launched a full PR campaign to prove they'd always supported me. Old family photos appeared on social media, carefully cropped to hide the tension. Stories were rewritten, memories conveniently altered. We always knew Elena was special, my mother told anyone who would listen. We encouraged her interest in computers from the start. My father tried to leverage his connection to me in medical circles, bragging about his tech genius daughter to colleagues. Several politely informed him that I'd already told them the true story. Michael attempted damage control at his hospital, suddenly becoming MedAI's biggest advocate. My sister's system is revolutionary, he'd say as if he hadn't spent years criticizing it. I ignored them all, focusing instead on expanding MedAI's reach. We launched new research initiatives, funded scholarships for unconventional students, and continued pushing the boundaries of medical technology. The MIT building became a symbol of innovation, producing graduates who merged technology and medicine in ways my family had once dismissed as worthless. I made sure every scholarship recipient knew the story behind the building's name. A year after the ceremony, my mother tried one last time to reconcile. She sent an email. "Darling, we miss you. Your father's heart hasn't been the same since that day. Can't we heal as a family?" I forwarded her email to my assistant with a simple reply. Run it through MedAI's diagnostic system. Apparently, guilt can manifest as heart problems. 2 years later, I received an invitation to Michael's Hospital's 10th anniversary gala. The invitation highlighted their cutting-edge AI integration and partnership with MedAI's visionary founder. I sent back a brief response. Ms. Chin appreciates the invitation but must decline. However, she's pleased to hear that the hospital is finally recognizing the value of a worthless degree. Last week, I approved plans for another building at MIT, the Chin Innovation Fellowship Center. It will provide resources and support for students pursuing unconventional paths in medicine and technology. The plaque at the entrance will read, "For every student who's been told their dreams are worthless, your vision is priceless." My family wasn't invited to that groundbreaking ceremony. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's succeeding so magnificently that their opinion becomes irrelevant. My name isn't just on a building. It's on research papers, medical breakthroughs, and patents that are changing the world. And that's worth more than any medical degree. Yesterday, I received another set of usage statistics. MedAI had helped diagnose over 100 million patients this year alone. Each diagnosis represented a life potentially saved or improved, not by a single doctor in a white coat, but by a worthless computer science degree and the determination to prove everyone wrong. I had my assistant forward the stats to my family with a simple note. "Still worthless." They didn't reply. They didn't need to. The building with my name on it speaks volumes more than they ever could.